Do you have anxiety? Do you have anxious thoughts? If you're like me, if you're struggling with anxiety your whole life, it means that every day you have thoughts that make you feel bad. I'm Dr. Alena Prihitka, and I'm a therapist and researcher for the last 20 years. And on my channel, I'm discussing advice, counseling advice backed up by science, and specifically my own research studies. So today, I want to talk to you about anxiety and how we can stop overthinking. If you enjoy listening to me, subscribe, like, and share. So, number one rule is you have to stop believing every thought that pops up in your mind. This is crucial. I have a metaphor that I share with my clients. So, imagine there is a mentally healthy person somewhere. I personally don't know such people, but I hope they exist. They live somewhere, maybe in forests or farms, in nature. So let's imagine there is a healthy person. So if we transcribe thoughts of this mentally healthy person, we will be amazed how random they will be. There will be many, many, many different thoughts, even if person is mentally healthy. So if person has anxiety as a mental health issue or just intense anxiety, it means that their brain is sending thousands of random thoughts every single day. And why is it happening? Well, because anxiety, same as fear, is an emotion that is evolutionary designed to protect us. So anxiety makes us feel concerned, and we're thinking about avoiding potential threat. So the difference between fear and anxiety is that fear is about something you see right now, like you see a bear or a person with a knife and you think that they are dangerous, so you feel fear. And anxiety is about imaginatory threat. So you're imagining that something bad will happen. So it lives in your imagination. So we need to tame these horses. We need to tame those thoughts. And if you want to stop overthinking, you first of all need to accept that you do not need to believe every thought that pops up in your mind. You need to be mindful and choose wisely. It's like when you are eating, let's say there's some food, there's a buffet, you're not eating everything, right? If you are, it means you have binge eating disorder. If you're like randomly eating everything, no, you're choosing, okay, I'll eat this, but I don't like this. Same with thoughts. We do not need to hug them and fall in love with every thought. No. Okay, so this anxious thought comes in, you're looking at it, you're saying, okay, thank you so much for coming in. Now I'm thinking, do I want to engage with you? Do I want to thank you or no? And if no, then you kindly ask it, to sit somewhere, like, in hockey, games, some people sit outside, some people are on the field. So you're mindful, you're choosing what to think. So this is number one rule. So when we're setting thoughts aside, we're using technique called diffusion. It's from acceptance and commitment therapy. It's one of my favorite techniques. And if you Google diffusion, you'll find like a whole cheat sheet with different types of diffusion techniques. So some of them are simple, some of them are, more complicated, and you need to train your brain to use them. The easiest one is when a dangerous thought or like thought that makes you anxious comes up. You can say it out loud in a funny voice. For instance, let's say you're thinking that you will die uh, because of some illness. Just you can say, you will die because of some illness, or you will die because of some illness, and so it makes it look kind of ridiculous, and it helps you to detach from it, because when you feel anxiety, when you attach to this thought, when you're like this with this thought, so we need to detach, right? We need to detach and choose wisely. There are other diffusion techniques. For instance, when you are imagining that your thoughts are on stage, it's one of my favorites. So I imagine that my thoughts are on stage and I'm sitting like in a theater, observing them from the outside. I'm not engaging with them, but I am switching on to what is called wise mind. So I'm not in emotional mind, I'm not in rational mind. I'm trying to, make sense of things that are happening in my brain. So to stop overthinking, we need to learn to diffuse from our thoughts. Important thing number two. Some people mix up intuition and anxiety. So the difference between intuition, and I have a whole video on intuition. So the difference is that the voice of intuition is calm, sharp, to the point. It doesn't make you feel uncomfortable. You just know something. It's as if like you received a small letter which says, do this, do that, this will happen, and you are prepared for action. You know what to do, and you are, content. You feel good, right? You don't feel bad. You can become a little bit worried, but you are more action oriented. And when anxiety comes, when you have these anxious thoughts, you feel physically uncomfortable. You can't find place for yourself, and then thoughts are racing. So you're thinking maybe this will happen, maybe this will happen. So it's just difficult for you to concentrate. When anxiety comes, you just label it. You say, okay, so this is anxiety. These are anxious thoughts. Do I want to think you right now? Or do I not? If I want to suffer, well, yeah, some people like to suffer from it. It's a whole another story. We'll have a separate video on that. Some people enjoy making themselves, feel bad and anxious. So there is secondary gain from it. But if you don't, if you're not like enjoying, if you're not enjoying it, then just set them aside. And how we set them aside? So there are different ways. One of the ways is, of course, to journal, right? Old school journaling. You can just write them down. You can write them down on a pieces of paper and put in some sort of a container. Container is powerful exercise used in different therapeutic approaches. For instance, I use it in EMDR, eye movement desensitization reprocessing, when people create mental container where they put thoughts that make them feel uncomfortable, or feelings that make them feel uncomfortable. And we'll talk about containers separately. There's one very nice condition of this container, imaginatory container. It needs to be cozy so that anxious thoughts enjoy staying there. So you can make a real container or a mental container and put these thoughts in that container. And very important, number 3, you need to be grateful for your anxiety and don't fight it. Because people oftentimes fight their anxiety. They want to get rid of it. They say, I hate this anxiety. I don't want to be anxious. No, 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 no. It has a protective function. It wants to protect you, but it's just trying too hard. So instead of getting rid of it, we need to tame it. We need to calm it down. We need to kind of, treat it like a child. So when we have anxious thoughts, when we have anxious state, we need to treat it like we treat a child who's worried. Because, well, in adult life, we still have some parts of us that resemble childhood in a way. So you can even ask yourself when you get very worried, how old am I right now when I'm that anxious? And just no censoring, just first thought that comes up to your mind. It means that something happened at that age. So number 3 rule, do not fight your anxiety, accept it, be grateful for it, but just kindly ask it to, sit outside while you think some other thoughts that are more constructive. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video and there was something useful for you. If there was useful information, subscribe to my channel, like it, and share with your friends. And Google diffusion cheat sheet, diffusion for anxious thoughts.